Did you see Nancy Pelosi defend insider trading?
Just about that.
What did you say? I don't know, guys. I'm doing great at it. You guys should try.
A bunch of people were freaking out about it. I think it was Crystal and Sagar. We're doing. I didn't watch it, but I did see the headline that she apparently.
Oh, it's incredible! You have to watch it. It's like
bypassing all the laws to make hella cash.
She looks so.
The reason that this idea to put a ban on stock trading for members of Congress is even a thing is because of Nancy Pelosi. I mean, she is rightfully criticized because she makes, I think, $174,000 a year, yet she has a net worth of approximately $413 million. In 2024, Nancy Pelosi's stock portfolio, this was a fascinating statistic to me, grew 70% in 1 year in 2020.
All right, let's spill some tea like we're gossiping at a school dance. Joe Rogan and Karoline Leavitt just gave Nancy Pelosi's political career a savage send-off, and it's not the sweet goodbye you'd expect. They shredded decades of her fake smiles, shady stock moves, and dramatic speeches with zero mercy. They're calling out the Queen of Chaos for hogging power while hiding behind fancy drama and staged press conferences. If you thought Pelosi's exit would be all graceful, waves, think again. This takedown obliterates her myth with brutal laughs.
Did you see the Nancy Pelosi thing? The new one?
She was being interviewed and then was like, I didn't want to talk about that.
Anderson Cooper. Put that on. Anderson Cooper, he sneaks it in. He's like, I came in here to talk about the anniversary of Medicaid. Like, she cares about Medicaid. She's worth an estimated $400 million now.
How? What's the salary? $70,000 a year?
$170,000 a year, something like that. $200,000 a year.
People on this, he doesn't want to see people like Nancy Pelosi enriching themselves off of public service and ripping off their constituents in the process. As for the mechanics of the legislation and how it will move forward, the White House continues to be in discussions with our...
Joe Rogan and Karoline Leavitt didn't just roast Nancy Pelosi, they turned her career into a blazing fire of embarrassment. This wasn't a light toasting of marshmallows. It was a full-on flamethrower aimed at decades of polished hypocrisy, old-school politics, and a brand built on Botox and broken promises.
The amount of stock trading that's done by members of Congress, the amount of fucking money that they make when they know decisions that are going to be signed and passed, they know laws that are going to be put into place. They know, like there was one recently that we're talking about Nancy Pelosi and the amount of money she invested in Tesla right before Biden signed this EV bill, electric vehicle bill. It's like 1.2 million. Find out if that's true.
Pelosi, gripping her gavel like it's her lifeline to relevance, didn't stand a chance. Joe Rogan came out swinging like he's in a championship fight, aiming his first punch at her wine cave lifestyle. This is a woman who, during a pandemic, stocked $13 pints of ice cream while Americans scrambled for toilet paper. She was filming mansion tours while small businesses choked under lockdowns. Leadership, Pelosi style. Apparently, it's let them eat gelato.
Agreements. Here, let's watch this because it's so funny.
Let me just read what he said. I'm sorry that we had some sort of technical issue. Nancy Pelosi became rich.
Why do you have to read that? We already talked about the 50th anniversary of Medicaid. That's what I agreed to come talk about.
But I wanted
what that means in the election.
I wanted to give you a chance just to respond. He accused you of insider trading. What's your response?
That's ridiculous. In fact, I very much support to stop the trading of members of Congress. Not that I think anybody's doing anything wrong. If they are prosecuted. And
Karoline Leavitt didn't hold back either. She looked at Pelosi's legacy and saw a dusty pile of contradictions. 1 minute, Pelosi's yelling about democracy and danger. The next, she's shredding speeches like a kid throwing a tantrum in a paper factory. It's less about saving democracy and more about guarding her fancy office and endless speaking gigs. If Pelosi ever had a real belief, it probably ran away years ago, scared off by lobbyists and insider trading tips.
You talk to the president, we should on the start. What is the position on the
The president has spoken to Senator Hawley, who called him, and the president took that call. As the president said in the Roosevelt Room yesterday, conceptually, he of course supports the idea of ensuring that members of Congress and United States senators who are here for public service cannot.
Joe tore into the absurdity of Pelosi's staged chaos. She always seemed to lead from behind, tripping over her party's scandals while pointing fingers at the other side for just existing. Her political strategy was like a weird art show. 1 part dramatic hand-waving, 2 parts orange man bad rants, and a big dose of ignoring that she's been in power forever.
Dual stocks.
Well, insider trading is against the law.
Yeah.
How is that not insider trading? If you know that someone's going to sign a bill and that bill is going to be a massive boost to the electrical vehicle industry, just as an example, and you know that bill's going to be signed, so right before that bill's signed, you buy a fuckload of stock in electrical vehicles, and then the next day or whenever it was, that bill gets passed, and then that stock goes up, and you make a shit ton of money. How is
Every time Pelosi speaks, it's like watching a glitchy robot from an old theme park. Her hands flap like she's guiding a plane, and her words drip with smugness and jumbled syllables. After all these years, she still acts shocked when people question her, like she didn't approve a stimulus bill stuffed with more junk than a garage sale.
2024, and her portfolio outperformed every single large hedge fund in that same year, and even more than doubled the returns of Warren Buffett's Berkshire. Years later, Nancy Pelosi can thank President Trump today for the 104% retaliatory tariff that will be going into effect on China. In 2007, Chuck Schumer spoke of our nation's crippling trade deficit, saying these are the kinds of records the American people don't want us to be breaking. The administration needs to move beyond words, take action now to reverse a trend that threatens our prospects for future.
Joe roasted Pelosi's fake public image until it melted. The color-coordinated outfits, the controlled press conferences, none of it hid that her time in charge was about controlling the story, not fixing problems. She spent more time blocking younger Democrats with fresh ideas than tackling real issues. Unless you count fake praying on TV while pushing impeachment like it's a new toy. Joe didn't let the insider trading saga slide either, calling out how her stock picks beat the market like she's got a crystal ball. Regular folks would need a yacht to match her luck. When asked about it, Pelosi dodged like she was in a dodgeball game, deflecting with a how dare you attitude. Karoline doubled down, shredding the idea that Pelosi was a noble servant. Her service was mostly photo ops and passing giant laws nobody read, all to keep her name in lights, not to make progress.
so transparent and it's right in front of your face, like the Nancy Pelosi situation? She's never made more than $175,000 a year. She's worth $100 and something million. Did you ever see the one where they confronted her about being able to insider trade? You never saw it?
No.
It's wild.
Over the course of your career, has your husband ever made a stock purchase or sale based on information received?
No. Absolutely not.
Places to my clan.
The hypocrisy is baked into Pelosi's core. She blasted Trump for dividing the country but built division herself, wrapped in fancy scarves. Her speeches weren't about unity, they were power grabs dressed in fake outrage to fire up TV panels and social media mobs. Joe called out her addiction to political theater, where nothing gets fixed unless cameras are rolling. When cities burned, she knelt in a kente cloth, turning a serious moment into a bizarre costume party. It wasn't justice, it was branding. Everything she does is branding. She doesn't pass the torch. She hoards it like it's her retirement plan. Karoline dropped the mic, saying for all Pelosi's talk of progress, the only things she moved forward were her Botox schedule and her bank account. She's mastered fake caring, pulling soap opera emotions while legislating on autopilot.
Watching the panic in her face, realizing that Trump is now president, and they're talking about literally going after her for insider trading, and the undeniable evidence that they have had better results on the stock market than literally anyone ever.
Yeah.
And they have access to information about laws that are going to be passed.
Yeah.
If that's not insider trading.
Joe summed it up. How can someone be in government for half a century and leave everything broken? Easy fixing things wasn't the point. Pelosi's career was about clinging to power, shaping how people see her, and acting like America owes her cheers for decades of mess. She tried to call her exit a graceful handoff, but it was a retreat, dodging the corruption in her own camp. She talked morality while playing by her own rules, claimed transparency while hiding her deals. If contradiction was a job, she'd be the CEO. Joe called her the political version of an old brand that keeps relaunching with flashier wrapping, but no new ideas, a glitchy, outdated system, always needing a replacement.
She's older than Biden. Like, chill out. Go on a vacation.
The things he says are so inappropriate for a president of the United States. Comments he makes about women.
Also, why are you still doing it? You're older than Biden.
You're asking me about the appropriateness of the actions of this president? So completely inappropriate in so many ways. It's almost a given.
It's not even about the money, it's about access, power.
He comes in with doggy-doo on his shoes, and everybody who works with him has that on their shoes, too.
People who carry your bags and tote.
As Pelosi fades into her staged farewell tour, Americans are left with a pile of bad policies, speeches that aged like sour milk, and a career that did everything but accomplished nothing. Her best move might be stepping aside. Joe and Karoline filled the silence with raw honesty, not fluff. They pulled back the curtain on decades of dysfunction dressed in designer outfits and fake outrage. No matter how many magazine covers she posed for or how much she shaded Trump, it doesn't change the truth. Pelosi was a relic pretending to be a game changer. The roast didn't just undress her politically, it turned her myth to ashes. All that's left is the echo of fake cheers and the smell of burnt designer suits.
In June of 1996, Nancy Pelosi spoke on the House floor. She urged her colleagues at the time to fight against the status quo trade policies that had contributed to America's trade deficit with China. In fact, Nancy Pelosi said, "How far does China have to go? How much more repression? How big a trade deficit? How many jobs have to be lost for the American workers? How much dangerous proliferation has to exist before members of this House of Representatives will say, 'I will not endorse the status quo'?" Those are the words of Nancy Pelosi in 1990.
Pelosi's exit didn't bring closure, it brought questions. Joe wasn't done digging through the mess, finding not a legacy of leadership but a pile of carefully packaged failures. She spent decades wrapping chaos in pretty ribbons, acting like she was holding the line when she was just hogging the spotlight. Joe called out her favorite trick, claiming high morals while picking what's convenient. Her values, like her press conferences, were perfectly staged but empty. Karoline shredded the idea that Pelosi was irreplaceable. She made herself essential by pushing out new voices and gripping power like it was her savings account. She didn't pave the way, she built a roadblock to reform. Young leaders had to sneak past her tight grip, not because she was guiding them, but because she was in the way with her dramatic flair and forced cheers.
Hold on. Pelosi's husband invested in Tesla, but not as viral post claims. Okay, so it's bullshit. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi purchased $1.25 million in stock from the electric vehicle company Tesla a day later.
Joe didn't let the insider trading issue slide, laying out how absurd it is that a House Speaker beats Wall Street pros year after year with a smile tighter than her secrets. While regular folks prayed for lower gas prices, Pelosi's stock picks magically lined up with upcoming laws. When asked about it, she gave answers straight out of a comedy, dodging and deflecting like a pro. Karoline pointed to the hypocrisy in her final act, announcing her exit with over-the-top showiness. Like a queen, reluctantly stepping down, Joe landed the final punch. Pelosi wasn't just the face of gridlocks, she built it. She called herself a shield against extremism, but led one of the most divided, dysfunctional eras in politics. Bipartisanship became a fairy tale, trust vanished, and fake outrage became Congress's language under her watch.
Because this is a free market and people, we are a free market economy, they should be able to participate in that.
She's telling why her husband should be able to invest in stuff that she knows about.
Have you ever seen a person look more nervous?
Yeah. It was the long sip, the gulp afterwards, and then...
The only thing Pelosi truly united was her party's knack for blaming everything on Donald Trump, who, funnily enough, is now president again. That says it all. Karoline twisted the knife. For all Pelosi's talk of saving democracy, she never trusted it. She didn't trust Americans to pick their future or believe in open debate or reform unless she controlled the show. She protected her status, not progress. Her era wasn't about growth, it was about keeping her image, her power, her legacy. But that legacy is now exposed, not as revolutionary, but as a monument to fake relevance. A long career of high heels, high drama, and higher stock returns. Pelosi leaves a Congress more broken, a public more skeptical, and a reputation bigger than it deserves. Joe and Karoline didn't just end the roast, they sealed it. Her story stripped of its fake shine. No more applause, no more staged tears, just the cold truth. She served herself, not the people. History won't care about her hairstyle.